Hello and welcome to Comprehension Points Video Snark. If you came here because you thought that this was an audiobook, please stick around and maybe learn some reading and listening comprehension skills. I read books and discuss what went wrong and how they can possibly be fixed. I'm continuing my read through of Betrothed by Kiera Cass. Not the first video, go check out the others, links are posted below. Chapter 21. Even after Valentina showed up, she couldn't get away to meet with Hollis, so Hollis mainly sat and tried to act like she was enjoying the festivities. She watched as more women buzz around Eaton and felt a weird pain inside of her. As she watches them, she randomly decides that the kiss meant nothing to Eaton. No idea why she'd think that, but sure. Finally, as performers come out, Valentina walks over towards a window. She apologizes and explains that she had to slip her maid something and it took forever for the woman to fall asleep. Hollis expresses her sympathy over Valentina's latest miscarriage. Valentina is upset and said that she'd wish Hollis had been there and said she'd needed a friend. Hollis kind of understands what she'd been through with such a loss and says that at least she had her family to lean on. Valentina expresses her condolences over Silas's death. Valentina then explains that with Hardin's wedding, it's an indication that Quentin has given up trying to produce another heir. She goes on to say that she doesn't think that she can try again, either because the thought of losing yet another baby is too much or the thought of sleeping with Quentin is gross. Hollis explains that they can help get her out if Valentina can get proof of Quentin having ordered the deaths of his own people. Valentina explains that there's some papers in his office, although she's not quite sure what's on them. But she can get to them, provided that Hollis and the others can spirit her to safety after she brings the papers. As Hollis returns to the party, she makes slight gestures towards her family to indicate a job well done. Chapter 22. Now alone, Hollis lies in bed and thinks about the kiss with the inn. She thinks about how Silas had saved her, and although the book doesn't straight up say that she feels like she's betraying her husband, it's kind of a subtext. She feels even worse when she thinks that she didn't ask for or want that kiss. She starts crying. Scarlett comes in to ask what's the matter. Hollis says that everything is and expresses her love for her sister. Scarlett says that everybody loves her and says that even Eaton loves her. However, this gives Hollis pause and demands to know what Scarlett isn't telling her. Scarlett proceeds to tell her that Eaton hasn't smiled in a long time, that he's changed, and that is because of Hollis's presence. Hollis doesn't know what to think about that and eventually says that Eaton is more interested in flirting than settling down. Scarlett asks if Hollis is jealous, and Hollis is quick with a bunch of excuses as to why Eaton wouldn't want her, the last of which is that she can't betray Silas like that. Scarlett then says all this stuff about how Whitley had protected Hollis that night and how they'd allowed her to come with them. Her point is that when their first plans went awry, they made another plan, and when that soured, they made yet another. She then says this: "So if you're in love, Hollis, go and live that life. It's the only thing he ever wanted for you." And I get the point that she's trying to make here, that you shouldn't be so hung up over somebody who died to the point where you let opportunities pass you by. It's a nice message. My problem is twofold. The first being something that I keep bringing up, and that is not enough time has passed. Of course, Hollis is reluctant to move on from her dead husband because he's barely in the ground. And the second of which is Hollis literally said nothing whatsoever about being in love with Eaton, and it's honestly kind of weird that Scarlett would randomly jump to that conclusion. Hollis then says the main thing that's holding her back. She isn't sure that Eaton returns her feelings of affection, which, girl. Hollis then brings up their plan to run away and become gypsies with a herd of goats. Scarlett hugs her sister before leaving. Chapter 23. The next morning, Hollis decides that she's going to ignore the kiss unless Eaton brings it up. She and Scarlett leave their room where she expresses how anxious she is over their plan. Eaton comes out and apologizes, citing not having slept well. Hollis is only grateful that she wasn't the only one who suffered because of their kiss, and the two of them set off. As they go, Eaton makes a dig at her, which she returns quickly. She's relieved because she can deal with Eaton being mean to her. They go to where the wedding ceremony is to take place. Hollis describes the entire thing as drab and that it matched her mood. Quentin and Valentina enter first. Valentina is resting her hand over her belly, and Hollis thinks that it's to convince people that she's pregnant. Then Hadron and Philippa enter. As they watch a couple walk down the aisle, Eaton whispers into Hollis's ear that Philippa's parents are dead, and her brother, the king of a neighboring kingdom, couldn't be bothered to even send a guard with his sister for such an important political alliance. Even the timing of the wedding seems off to Eaton. This will probably be important later. The priest starts the ceremony, and I'm not even going to pretend like I care about any of that. Thankfully, and presumably because of Hadron's poor health, the ceremony is insanely short. The new couple leave, followed by the king and queen, and then the rest of the guests. Outside, they all stand in line to congratulate them. Hollis moves through the line, congratulating first Quentin, then Hadron, who does not speak, and then Philippa. When she gets to Valentina, the queen passes along a bunch of papers and tells Hollis to quickly go hide them in her rooms, but then to come right back to the reception, and to not forget about her. After taking them, Hollis walks over to Scarlett to ask for the key to her trunk, which is provided without question. She then runs back to their rooms where she stands in awe for a moment of what Valentina accomplished. She wants to read whatever was given, but knows that Valentina is right. She needs to make an appearance at the reception. So she hides them, takes a breath to steady her nerves, and goes back down. Chapter 24. When Hollis returns to the reception, her family acts like Hollis had simply been overcome and needed to step out for a moment. Hollis plays along because she has no idea who might be watching or listening. As she looks around the room, she notes a lot of forced smiles and generally unhappy looks. She thinks that most people are on the tipping point after hearing about the wedding ceremony massacre, that they'd rally behind the Northcotts if they could provide proof of Quentin's hand in the event. The music starts up and her aunt and uncle ask her to dance at the end, that it's tradition for the High families to have the first dance. Hollis protests that she doesn't know how to dance, which is BS considering the crowning day dances, but I understand that she simply doesn't want to dance with Ian. Scarlett is on the other side of the room flirting with Julian, so she's forced to go. They dance, and if you've ever read or seen literally any other period piece with a dance scene, you already know how this goes. Despite the fact that they aren't talking, they have an entire meaningful conversation simply by looking at one another. Yawn. I am already bored with this scene. At the end of the dance, Ian lifts Hollis up a bunch of times, I guess because you're supposed to? And as she's in the air, Hollis randomly thinks that people aren't their introductions. Weird thought, but okay. I once performed an entire concert and able to stop thinking about those goats that climb trees, so it's not like I don't understand weird, intrusive thoughts at inopportune times. As they leave the dance floor, Hollis expresses how much fun she's had. She continues on to thank him, although it's more of an in general sort of thing. He apologizes for having kissed her earlier, and Hollis thinks that she needs to stop kissing boys at bad times. They then turn their attention to whatever Valentina had given Hollis and how they're both eager to see what it is. Hollis reminds him that they need to get Valentina out from the castle and to protect her from Quentin no matter what. Ian then randomly asks Hollis that once this is all over, does she think that the two of them could be friends? She's happy over it but curses the timing of it all. She accepts and the two of them go to dance again. Thanks for listening to my book Snark on YouTube. New videos are up every Monday, but stick around because I sometimes drop random videos on other days too. Just as a reminder, even if you can't financially support me, there are other ways to help me out. The first is watching this video as well as all my other videos. It's also important to like and subscribe. Finally, you can share this video with all of your friends so that they can help as well. If you're already caught up with all of my videos, you can go to Tumblr for my main book Snarks, always free and updated every morning. And if you've already read all of my main Snarks, then you can find even more Snark on my Patreon. You can access it for $1 a month. Members also get early access to my main Tumblr Snark. Special thanks to Dawn, Phoebe, and Nikki for supporting me on Patreon already. If you want to hear your name in my video next week, you either support me on Patreon or make a one-time donation. Do you like my Snarks so much that you want me to snark your writing? I do that too. For just $6 per chapter, I will tell you how awful that your writing is. But not to worry if you feel like you couldn't take the criticism. I also offer regular book editing as well, just 1 cent per word. You can contact me on any of my social media platforms if you have further questions. If you want to read some of the things that I've written, you can purchase my works on Amazon. I have a slew of erotic short stories and 2 full-length novels. I also frequently run flash sales on my stories, and if you aren't following me on any social media, you might want to do so just so you can know when I might be offering things for free. Links for everything will be posted below. See you next week, guys!